presentation I'm going to deliver tonight is on belief, because it's my contention that the word belief isn't serving us very well today. So let me see if I can make this work. Yes, good. We're all teched up. So I want us to reconsider how we should use this word, and I shall be inviting you after my presentation to give me some of your thoughts too. I'm not saying this is the authoritative view, it's my opinion and I'd like to hear yours. Now if you go to an ordinary dictionary, and by that I mean a dictionary that's provided for general vocabulary. Those sorts of dictionaries I find are not very good for scientific purposes, because scientists use words in a much more precise and careful way than we do in general conversation. And I'm an ex-science teacher, so I've had to learn how to be careful and in order to get my message across, because if I use the wrong words, it doesn't come over. For example, an ordinary dictionary tells us that precise and accurate are synonyms. Not in science, they're not. Precise means how close you get to something, a target for example, and accurate means how often you hit it. So one is location, it's linear measurement, and the other one is time dependent. So this is what the ordinary dictionary gives us as a definition for belief, a proposition that's considered to be true. Is it though? I mean, here's a proposition. Was it true? But let's take a look at another source of a definition, Wikipedia. This is interesting because I often get involved in debates online, in Facebook for example, with ardent Christians who they prefer to rubbish Wikipedia as not a reliable source of information, and they prefer the Bible. Now Wikipedia gives us a rather better definition. It's a state of mind in which a person thinks something to be true, to be the case, but without any evidence for that to be the case. So this is another way of defining the word belief as a mental representation of an attitude, a mental construct. It's something that happens in here. You decide to accept a belief. And that's one of the reasons why the word causes us trouble, because it's got two layers of meaning. Acceptance of something as true, and then there's the dubious things. I wonder if it's true. I believe it, but it may not be true. So do we need belief to mean those two different things? Here's another source of definition. I like the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and it gives a very good definition. It just says that a belief is an attitude towards a proposition. No mention of truth. It doesn't say what sort of an attitude, just an attitude. So, you can argue that beliefs are choices. For example, I believe that coffee tastes better without sugar. That's my belief. Cue for a slap. And there are other ways of making these choices. You can make it as a personal opinion, or you can accept somebody else's opinion. A lot of people say something like along the lines of, my grandparents are Christians, my parents are Christians too, so I'm a Christian. You haven't made a choice, you've abdicated the possibility of choosing to your forebears and just gone along with their choice. And even worse than that, in some parts of the world, the state makes the choice for you. Just by being born there, you are labelled Muslim. So there are three sorts of ways you can make this choice, or have it made for you. This acquaintance of mine was Kurdish, and he was not a religious man at all. He only found out what he was when he applied for a passport and read what they put. So that's certainly not his choice, but it's another way to have choice thrust upon you. Now, the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, were rather clever. They didn't have any realistic means for determining truth, but nevertheless they had two words for belief. We've only got the one. They had two. Pistis was used for things which could be trusted, you could be confident that they were right, that they were factual. Whereas doxa was a more dubious sort of belief that was just a matter of opinion and had been accepted generally by the population. So there you have different degrees of attitude. Strong belief, weak belief. Today, I'm going to argue the case that we should call these knowns. Sorry, these ones, the strong belief, we should call these knowns. Okay? And we should reserve belief just for those, the dubious things. So let's have a look at Plato. He defined doxa as, this is the dubious level of belief, not pistis, as unrelated to reason, resides in the unreasoning lower parts of the soul. Well, I wouldn't use quite the same language as Plato, but you get the message, don't you? I would say we should be reserving the word belief to be used in the doxa sense, only for things that are dubious. Now, we know there are lots of things that are dubious because people are still arguing over them. For example, Christians disbelieve the beliefs of the Muslims and of the Jews, and vice versa. They all disbelieve each other's beliefs. These are doxa. These are things that you can argue about. They are dubious, they're contentious things, unlike, I'm going to fall if I jump off. So, the problem I have with belief is that it's overvalued. People think that they can trust what they were told, probably as small children. And our brains are ready for this. We've evolved to have brains that are adapted to recognize patterns, so that we can, recognize which snake might be poisonous and which snake we might be able to eat. Those are important things to know. But unfortunately, we do pattern recognition rather too well. We even imagine that we see a face on the moon. And the trouble with this seeking, questioning brain that we've evolved is that we want answers. And if we can't find answers, we can quite easily be fobbed off with non-answers, with just responses that purport to be answers. We'll like that because it means we can sleep at night thinking, that's okay. The thunder is just Thor hammering, not scary. So I'm saying that at the beginning of this process of investigation to discover some new information, we have a proposition. Here's one: my horse will win. We can believe that, or we can disbelieve it. The choice is there. Other people will have different preferences. Their horse will win. Then we do the race. That's the investigation, the test. My horse won. That's indisputable. You know, there's copious evidence, there's the photo finish, there's the commentary that the man talking about the race did, there's all the observers, there's the other horses that didn't win, you know, all their jockeys will confirm. There's no point disbelieving this. You'd be stupid to disbelieve this. So I'm saying that belief and disbelief is redundant for things like that. They don't like it. When I tell them that beliefs are just opinions about the unknown, they really don't like it. Then I point out, well, do you believe in, Muhammad? So I've come up with this representation. Stone Age man knew very little. Or woman. Thank you. Yes. So there's just a small amount of knowns. This is the band of knowns. In the Stone Age, it was probably only that wide. Since then, we've discovered more things. We know more things, and this is like a blind coming down here. And these are the unknowns that we are investigating. The knowns are the evidential things. We don't need to believe them. You don't need to believe something which is so accepted. The unknowns are the non-evidential things. We haven't found out about them yet, maybe never. But we can consider whether to believe them or not. It's up to us, unless we're going to let our parents dictate. So, on the one side, we have the act of believing, which is relatively easy if you've been indoctrinated. And so you just adopt what you're told, and that's what your brain wants. It wants an answer. Doesn't matter necessarily whether it's right. Disbelieving is harder. This is where you've got to consider, is that likely or not? Few of us have this. Few of us have the ability to be skeptical about everything. And most of us are willing to be taken in. So that is the position that the brain would like to be in, the conviction effort scale, if you like. And that is the difficult stuff, to actually try and work out whether you've got something which you can consider to be a known or an unknown. Now, as I said, Stone Age man knew nothing, pretty much. And so that was the age of beliefs. Goat herding. This is the age of knowns. Laptops, aircraft, skyscrapers, everything. So I'm saying that beliefs are unbelievable. Well, they should be considered to be unbelievable. Because the Christians doubt the beliefs of the Muslims and Jews, and the Muslims and Jews doubt the beliefs of the Christians, and so on and so forth. So we all understand this intrinsically, that belief is not the bearer of truth. We know that belief is associated with uncertainty. It's only our idea of our own self-importance that makes us value what we believe. And in reality, we should be reassessing belief to consider it to have little value. Now, the problem with religious beliefs in particular, I've been talking about beliefs in general, but let's focus. They're toxic. Babies are baptized, inducted. Before they can speak, they've got no choice.
Circumcised.
Yeah, there's the next one. You're ahead of me. Did you write this? And we're tricked into believing stuff which is non-evidential. the afterlife is poisonous. It means that it doesn't really matter what I do now, because I'm going to love it up there. And all I've got to do is say I'm sorry just before I go through the pearly gates, you know, so I can be irresponsible.
Are you sure that's right? Because on the day of judgment, then someone's going to say, why did you kill that person?
Well,
although I don't believe in God, I sometimes wish there was one.
well, certainly the Catholics will tell you that you can be absolved of all sin. And of course they'll also tell you that you were born sinful.
Oh, right, of course.
Innocent babies are born criminal, sinful, because Eve ate an apple.
I think you're preaching to the converted.
Yes. I do it in churches.
Good.
I've been to a couple of churches. I get invited occasionally by pastors, usually not priests, and I do a very similar presentation. Maybe I don't, loud it up quite so much. And they're stunned. And they're a very good audience. Quiet as mice. Church mice.
Mm.
So these religious beliefs put us into us and them. You're a member of my belief system. They're not. They're the evil ones.
Non-believer.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of words, isn't there? Pagan, infidel, Gentile, and now atheist. Yes.
I think that's the worst word.
Yes, yes,
Atheist.
I agree. Yeah. I spent a lot of my life telling them that there's no ideology of atheism. For heaven's sake, it's just not a belief. You can't have a belief system based on no belief. This is current, isn't it?
Yes.
Brunei.
Yes.
They've just reintroduced Sharia law,
Stunning.
and they're going to cut off the hands of robbers and whip, I think they use the word cane, adulterers, and they're going to stone to death the gays. Yeah. So this is the toxic side of it. This is why Christopher Hitchens said, "Why religion poisons everything." Thank you. I'm glad you came. Not so sure about this. So what can we do about this? Well, we've got a campaign to devalue belief. We've got to make people consider it to be only suitable for doubtful propositions. And we're guilty, of being stumm and letting the religious people get on with their indoctrination and not actually speaking against them. It's getting better, but for much of my life, religion was something that you didn't talk about. My mother said, at the dinner table, don't talk about politics or religion. It's shameful.